It started as a dream. For Rafi and Nadia, their new home wasn't just a house, it was a sanctuary built on love. Nadia, a woman whose laugh could light up a room, had always been a whirlwind of energy, an independent artist with a passion for life. But when they got married, she happily gave it all up to become a full-time housewife. She said it was the only role she ever truly wanted, and watching her, Rafi believed it. She would hum as she cooked his favorite meals, her face glowing with a quiet contentment that filled him with pride. They were in a blissful bubble, convinced their love was all they needed to be happy forever. But a perfect bubble, he would learn, is a fragile thing. The first crack appeared when she forgot his birthday. It wasn't a big deal, she said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. He saw a flicker of something unfamiliar in her expression, a cold, distant look that vanished as quickly as it appeared. He brushed it off, convincing himself it was just a bad day, a small slip in an otherwise flawless life. He loved her, and love, he believed, could fix anything. The small cracks grew into bigger ones. She began to misplace things constantly. The keys, her wallet, the groceries items would disappear only to turn up in the strangest places. A quiet sigh would turn into a sharp snap, her voice laced with an acid tone he'd never heard before. He'd try to talk to her, to ask what was wrong, but she'd just stare at him with an empty expression, as if his words were just a strange noise she couldn't comprehend. The warm, vibrant woman he married was slowly being replaced by a stranger, and it terrified him. Then came the cold. A sudden, sharp chill that would fill a room, even when every window was shut and the sun was high. Rafi would walk into the kitchen and feel a breath of icy air, followed by the faint, cloying scent of marigold flowers, a scent he'd only ever associated with funerals. He'd find the doors to their cupboards swinging open on their own, and objects would be moved just out of his sight. He'd blame it on an old house, on the wind, on anything but the truth. He had to. He couldn't accept that something was wrong with their sanctuary. He couldn't bear to lose the perfect life he had so desperately wanted. He watched her as she slept, a cold dread coiling in his gut. The woman he loved was still there, but a stranger's shadow was beginning to fall over her. The small cold spots became icy blasts that rattled the windows. The scent of marigolds thickened, a constant, sickening perfume in the air. The objects didn't just move, they were thrown. One night, a clay pot flew from the mantelpiece and shattered against the wall, inches from Rafi's head. He looked at Nadia, and saw her eyes, wide and terrified, but a smirk twisted on her lips as she looked away. The smirk wasn't hers. It was a cruel, mocking curve that sent a shiver down his spine. Nadia's mood swings became violent. She would laugh hysterically one moment, then scream at him the next, accusing him of things he never did. Her voice, his beloved Nadia's voice, would sometimes drop to a low, guttural rasp, like gravel scraping against rock. It would say things, terrible things, and Nadia would look at him with confusion when he flinched. "What did you say?" he would ask, and she would simply stare, her eyes cloudy and vacant, as if waking from a deep slumber. Desperate, Rafi took her to a dozen doctors and therapists. They all gave the same diagnosis: severe stress, anxiety, perhaps even the early stages of a mental illness. They gave him prescriptions and advice, but nothing helped. The pills lay untouched on the counter, and Nadia's vacant stares only grew more frequent. One evening, Rafi found himself staring at his reflection in the bedroom mirror, a look of utter hopelessness on his face. He felt a gentle touch on his shoulder and turned. It was Nadia, smiling at him. But as his eyes met her reflection in the glass, his blood ran cold. The woman in the mirror was not his wife. Her eyes were not the warm brown he knew, but two gaping pits of pure blackness. A twisted, malevolent grin stretched across her face, a silent promise of pain and evil. Rafi recoiled in horror, stumbling backward as the reflection laughed, a soundless, terrifying spectacle in the glass. The real Nadia stood beside him, her face full of concern. "What's wrong, Rafi?" she asked, her voice soft and caring, but he couldn't shake the image. He knew, deep in his soul, that the thing in the mirror was real. The man in the glass and the beautiful woman beside him were in a prison built by something evil. Rafi spent weeks poring over books, searching the internet, and talking to anyone who would listen. He was a man lost in a sea of despair, a husband desperate to save his wife from a torment he couldn't name. The doctors had failed him, the therapists had given up. He knew they couldn't see what he saw, the demonic reflection, the mocking smirk, the feeling of a presence sharing his home. He had to look for answers in places he never thought he'd go. His search led him to a retired priest who had once specialized in exorcisms. The old man listened patiently as Rafi described the strange events, the marigold scent, the icy rooms, the shifting personality of his wife. As Rafi spoke about the black-eyed reflection and the guttural voice, the priest's face turned grim. "This is not an illness," he said softly. "This is a possession." He gave Rafi a name to look for, Nadia. He told him that if he found out who Nadia was, he would find the key to the possession. Rafi's mind went back to his wedding day. Nadia, Nadia's cousin, had been there, a woman with a deep, unspoken rivalry with Nadia. He remembered Nadia's face, tight with a strained smile, watching him and Nadia with an intensity that had made him uncomfortable. He dismissed it at the time as simple jealousy. Now, he wasn't so sure. He went back through Nadia's old family photo albums and found a video camera she had used to record family events. He found a tape from a year before their marriage, a video of a family picnic. The footage was grainy, but he could see Nadia in the background, away from everyone, kneeling by a small fire. In her hands, she held a small doll made of thread and clay, and she was whispering, her lips moving silently as she performed a dark ritual. The camera panned back to Nadia, her face now a mask of cold fury as she plunged a pin into the doll. Her eyes, filled with a twisted, malevolent longing, looked directly at Rafi. The curse wasn't just to harm Nadia, it was to trap a malevolent spirit inside her, hoping to drive Rafi away so she could have him. The tape ended, and Rafi fell to his knees. The truth a cold, hard stone in his stomach. He had been fighting a losing battle against an evil that was older and more powerful than he could ever imagine. He had been a fool. And now, he had to face the true villain in this story. The fight to save his wife wasn't a battle of love and logic, it was a battle against pure, unadulterated evil.